The future of the Anaheim Ducks remains intact with this massive signing, and Ducks' top prospect may make the starting lineup coming out of training camp. I'll discuss this and much more coming up on this edition of Hat-Trick HQ. I'm your host, Casey, and welcome back to Hat-Trick HQ. With that said, let's get right into the first topic of this video, which is Ducks make a massive signing. And yes, if you've been tuned into the news, the NHL news recently, you would have seen that the Anaheim Ducks forward Troy Terry agreed to a 7-year contract extension Wednesday at arbitration, the team announced. Here's what you need to know. The deal carries an average annual value of $7 million according to a league source. This is massive for the Ducks organization. A former 5th-round pick that is now making $7 million annually and $49 million in total. He's got him signed right through 2030 to the 2030 end of the 2030 season. This is huge for them. This is a guy who came in, 5th-round pick, proved his worth. He's a goal scorer. He's a playmaker. As we look at his stats here over his career of the Anaheim Ducks, a guy who was in the system down in the AHL and up with the Ducks during his career. Last season netting 61 points, 23 goals in 70 games, and in the previous year netting 67 points with 37 goals. Now this is huge for the Anaheim Ducks organization, like I've said before. This guy's a big part of their rebuild. I think the future of the Ducks is strong now with their young core of Terry, Zegras, Leo Carlsson now picked up this year, 2nd overall in the draft, and Jamie Drysdale, and Mason McTavish. They have such a deep roster. I think you give this team a couple years and they're ready to go on a run. I think as soon as these guys develop into the players that they're projected to be, I think they're right back to where they were with the Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry era, ready and poised for a cup. I think the organization is really happy with this signing. Obviously an RFA, getting him through 2030 is huge. And at $7 million, I think the price tag is amazing for Troy Terry. I think when the cap goes up, I think it's next season or the year after, we're going to look back at this contract and be like, wow, what a steal. I think the Ducks organization and the head office made a huge deal here. I think it's such a good deal for the organization in general. I think with this type of deal, at this value, they can afford to keep their young guys and keep their core, which is huge. And Troy Terry is not a player to glance over. He's a great goal scorer, as we've seen in his stats here. And if you watch any Ducks hockey, you could see he's one of the guys you notice on the ice the most. If it's not making a defensive play in his own zone, it's, getting an assist. It's a guy who a couple years ago went into a scoring slump, but still got 10 assists in that slump. This guy is huge. It's a huge deal. One of the most underrated players in the league, in my opinion. Like these, I guess you would say, small market teams. They got good potential. Like, it's crazy that he's going to be making this amount of money. Like, we see a lot of these young guys getting paid now, like Tage Thompson out of Buffalo, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki in Montreal. I think getting these young guys at such low contracts when the cap is going up in just a few years is a massive deal for these NHL organizations. And I think Troy Terry is a great fit in Anaheim. I think, like I said, you give them a couple of years, they're going to be contenders, I think. They got the young guys, and they're going to have the money if they keep signing these people to contracts like this. Troy Terry is one of these guys that, like I said, is underrated. He's been shadowed by Zegras, like in Zegras' shadow, But I think, this guy's just going to have a breakout year, I think. I think he's a potential 40-goal scorer this year or next year. But we got to stay tuned to see what the Troy Terry saga is. And I'm just so happy for this guy and so happy for this organization to get a guy like this at such a good deal. And with that said, we'll get into the second topic of this video, which is Ducks' top prospect may crack the lineup out of training camp. And yes, we're talking about Leo Carlsson. As we see in an article from The Athletic, Anaheim Ducks center Isaac Lundstrom will be sidelined for at least the first half of the 2023-2024 season due to a torn Achilles tendon, the team confirmed to The Athletic on Wednesday. This opens the door for Leo Carlsson, the number 2 pick in the 2023 NHL draft, to win a job with Anaheim out of training camp. And this is massive. Like, this guy, a highly touted prospect. As we'll take a look at his stats here. who's coming out of the Swedish Hockey League with 25 points in 44 games. But the biggest thing here is in the World Juniors with Sweden, 6 points in 7 games with a 4+-. This guy's a great center, a great playmaker. I think getting him in the rotation early at only 18 years old is only going to build his confidence up and make him a better prospect. As we get into what the general manager spoke about Leo Carlsson at the draft, he said, "We were excited about his high hockey IQ." Ducks general manager Pat Verbeek told The Athletic at the draft, "His creativity, I think he has a really nice combination of being able to make other players around him better and being able to provide the offense not only from playmaking standpoint, but from a goal-scoring standpoint as well. I was really taken aback by his two-way game looking at him. We were excited for the potential for him to not be only a dominant player in the offensive zone, but also in the defensive zone as well," echoed Anaheim's assistant GM Martin Madden of Carlsson making his line mates better. "That's the most important part of his game, that we see continue to allow him to grow into a dominant first-line center for us in the future." Yes, and like I said, this is great news for the Anaheim Ducks organization. This guy is a great playmaker. I mean, with NHL comparisons of Backstrom, and he's just a great player. He knows how to pass the puck. He can win the draws. And you pair him up now with Troy Terry and Zegras, this guy's just going to go nuclear, I think. At 18 years old, you don't want to expect too much out of him this season, but, this guy's got such a bright future if he's starting in the NHL at 18 years old. Like, I just think a guy with this type of two-way game like he does with, like I said, Backstrom, a center potential. He's just good in his own zone. He's good in the offensive zone. He can put the puck in the back of the net. What else do you want, But like I said, the Ducks organization has a bright future ahead now with the addition of Troy Terry back, and now with Leo Carlsson maybe making a lineup at a training camp. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think of the Anaheim Ducks' future? I think it's very bright. I think you give them, I'm going to say in the next 3 to 4 years, they're going to be playoff contenders for sure with the type of talent they have. And their organization is just great. They know what players to sign. They know what players to let go. And they've done it in the past. They went out and won the Stanley Cup when their young guys developed with Getzlaf and Perry. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. We've been making this content. We've been enjoying making this content for you guys, and we're trying to hit 100 subscribers before the season starts, so we'd love to see that happen. I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.